I'm going to go ahead and get started. This talk is about a little fasting goes a long way. What I'm talking about is not even juice fasting. That is a whole other regimen. I'm talking about putting your body in a fasted state, which means not eating and allowing yourself beverages that pass the test that are acceptable, don't break the fast. That is black coffee and tea, so unsweetened, unaltered tea and coffee. I think lemon water, depending on how sensitive you are to glucose also, but definitely water, and then electrolytes if you take on longer fasts. So when I say fasting, that's what I mean. A little fasting literally does go a long way. I'm going to talk about two benefits. The two benefits to fasting: you feel better in your clothes. You feel better in your clothes and you feel more in control of your food intake. We have had social norms thrown at us that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, that the standard American diet preaches 3 meals a day. And the standard American diet, or maybe typically the culture, is that dinner then becomes where we gather around the table. Then it becomes the biggest meal. And many times it happens after the sun has set. So your circadian rhythms start to slow down. We're loading our body up at the time when our body's winding down. So we're giving it quite a lot to do at night. So there's some certain ways of manipulating how you eat to take advantage of your circadian rhythms slowing down and not taxing your body with digesting throughout the night, when your body could actually be in a fasted state during the nighttime. We can talk about that in a minute. I didn't want to be insensitive to what's going on in our country right now. I also think it's important to talk about denying yourself food versus food insecurity and not having access to food. So please hear that I'm sensitive to that these are two totally different things. I feel it's important for me, from my heart to my audience, to know that I understand this is a willingness to deny yourself food for health and health purposes versus not having access to sufficient amounts of food or to healthy food. And so I didn't want to seem like a privileged white woman and say that we should all just deny ourselves some food when there's 800 million people, at least, especially now, who are going through food insecurity. Having said that, please know this is different. This is the daily choices that we make for those of us who do have access to good food and nutrition. So portion sizes as well. The standard American diet, the portion sizes are larger than in other countries. So that is another thing that we deal with as Americans who follow the standard American diet. So we can be in charge of the amount that we eat, but the rest of my talk tonight is going to be about when. And I believe that since I got started about 5 minutes early, there should be some time for Q&A before we part ways tonight. My goal for this talk is to have you a little bit curious. If you don't already try fasting, I would love for you to be curious about what one change you could make to ease your digestive process a little every day or once every week. So is it going lighter on dinner so that your digestive system then can actually go into a fasted state when you're asleep, and then when your breakfast you are actually breaking a fast, versus you are just elongating, your glucose levels are high because you had a huge dinner that night, you sleep and your body's just getting over that and just getting into a fasted state, and boom, we have breakfast. So we never actually allow our digestive system to go into a healing state, the healing properties that the fasted state actually provide if you give it some time. Those of you who don't know, I am a total nerd for Dr. Mindy Pelz, and she will spell out to you at certain hours in a fasted state, different hormones are excreted, different systems kick in. And one of the most exciting is autophagy. And it takes 17 hours of a fasted state for our bodies to kick into autophagy, which is the unbelievable ability for our own cells to identify weaker cells or dysfunctional cells, abnormal cells. And we all know where that's headed. Like, we want the abnormal cells to be flushed away. So autophagy is the process of your body healing by identifying cells that are not functioning properly anymore and kicking them out or fixing them. Unbelievable. That only happens after 17 hours. So let's do the math. If you, Carolyn, you were talking about your sleep goal. How many hours of sleep did you want, ideally?
Ideally 8.
Okay, thank you. So if we go with your 8, 17 hours is autophagy. Which way are you going to get it? If you want to reach autophagy, do you take from before you go to bed or do you skip breakfast? I want you to be curious. Am I willing to give up or to dial back or to move up your dinner till 4? If you move up your dinner till 4, you're done eating at 5. When you're done eating, that's when your fasting clock starts. Immediately after you've taken your last bite. So if you're done at 5 a.m. is 12 hours. At 5 a.m. plus 5 more hours is 10. At 10 a.m., you will have been 17 hours without food. That is possible. So this is why intermittent fasting is so deeply customizable. You can push things according to what you're willing to give up. For example, I do not need breakfast. I've found that several cups of black coffee, and maybe too many, but several cups of black coffee push me right through my morning, and happily. I feel light on my feet. I don't miss breakfast. But for those of you who just love breakfast, you love everything about it, the timing, the meditation of making it, the sitting down, maybe you love breakfast foods and you don't want to part with those. Okay, so if that's you, then you get to keep breakfast. But where else could you tack onto the hours that you're asleep? You want to use those to your benefit toward a fasted state. The most popular intermittent fasting plans, again, let me use Dr. Mindy's definition of intermittent fasting. That's time-based eating pattern that puts the body into a healing state by strategically cycling between periods of eating and not eating. Okay. A really light fast for those who are not sure they can go is a 13-11. 13 hours fasted, 11 hours in your eating window. That sure sounds to me like if you eat at 8, 8 to 8 is 12, you get to eat at 9. And that's 13 hours. Now, there are benefits to that. That doesn't sound like the big jump that autophagy fasting would be for your 17 hours, but 13 hours does the body good. Okay, another popular one is 16-8. So if you stop eating at 8 and you go 8 to 8 is 12, and then 8 more hours, and then it's 12 and 16 is 4. Noon. Skipping breakfast and eating at noon. Then you have an 8-hour eating window. All right. The 16-hour fast, and then 17 is when an autophagy starts, and there are other, I could show you the whole spectrum of if you kept going, what would happen, what other healing systems are released or allowed to happen because you're not encumbering your body with the digestion process. My goal would be to have some idea of how they'd like to fit fasting into their life, even just a little bit. Intermittent fasting may make you feel better in your clothes. It's just a chipping away, take a while of consistency. And you're going to wake up one morning and go, wow, I just feel lighter on my feet. But if you do a 24-hour fast, even a 36-hour fast, your body responds. After 17, 20, hours, your body just goes, okay, now the primitive brain is saying no food is coming. We are definitely, without a doubt, switching over into ketosis because we want to survive. This is your primitive body switching over into when we were hunter-gatherers. Now we're in gathering mode. There's no food, so we're out looking. What needs to happen? Our eyes need to be sharp. Our mind needs to be clear. Our ears need to be hearing. We are on our game because our life is at stake. Our primitive cells are saying, okay, no food is coming, so we're going to get our fuel from what has already been stored. We start tucking into everything we stored for a rainy day in our fat cells. So after a 24-hour fast, you feel progress. But I want to talk about the psychological benefits. 24-hour fast is not easy. You reach the points, especially, I don't know about you, but 10 at night, your day is over. You might be used to eating in front of your favorite show. You might have your favorite snacks that are calling to you at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So you've made a decision. You're not going to eat those. You're going to drink water and herbal tea, and you have to make that feel and sound exciting somehow. That is not easy. But the lesson is that you can take control over your mind and say, I am not in danger. I have enough in my cells to feed myself. My body knows what to do with what's within those cells. It knows I will get exactly what I need from what has been stored away. I am not in danger. Calm down. Oh, wait, but the hunger pains come. Wait a minute. My stomach's growling. What does that mean? I must be in danger. No, you get to tell your stomach, tell your brain, everything is all right. I'm not going to kid you and say drinking water makes you feel better because it's not your favorite snack. However, if you do respond with water, you're going to be actually flushing your system at a time when it's more empty than it usually is. That water has a chance to actually flush your system because it's emptier than it normally is. So that water is even more important during that time. So you're battling the psychological voices saying, you really deserve to have that snack you normally have. So you hit the 24-hour mark. Break a fast gently. Do not eat a salad or the typical healthy foods that you think of when you break a fast. That's too much fiber. Break a fast with bone broth, an avocado, high fats, a vegetable broth. Good, healthy fats. Now, Dr. Minnie will tell you back it up with fermented foods like kimchi or sauerkraut or kefir, probiotics, because your system is empty compared to what it normally is. You now can replenish your gut biome with some good things while it's free to accept that stuff. There's so many opportunities at the end of that 24-hour fast that you can really take advantage of. The hydration that happens when you drink enough water and it actually gets to where it needs to get. You put probiotics in your system and they actually get to where they need to get unencumbered. But the psychological battle that you won by reaching the 24-hour mark, you'll feel better in your clothes. They won't feel as tight. You won't feel as bloated. And you've given your system that rest and that healing. So I've read people with injuries that involve maybe ligaments, tendons, after a fasting lifestyle, those tissues literally get attention from our body. Why? Because we're not using that energy that is normally spent on digestion. It's going to healing the things that your system's waiting for that bandwidth to get to. So athletes, when they need to repair things, will consider fasting so that you can allow the body to do the healing instead of using all that energy toward digestion. I was under the belief that digestion was the single most energy consuming process of our body. It didn't rank as high as I thought, but it does tax the body. Now, imagine if we did all eat a tremendous amount of, say, red meat. Now, I currently eat red meat. There are eating philosophies that say don't eat red meat every day or all the time because that particularly is taxing on a body. So if you ate red meat every day, you might not get the kind of healing benefits of the fasting. Your body would, you need to maybe do extended fasts. So also, if you've had a high glycemic day, let's say you let yourself off the leash and you had a feasting day, but it also included processed flour and processed sugar. You went to a bakery, you ate some delicious sourdough bread. Did you know that it takes at least 16 hours for your blood sugar to come down off of those days? It takes then that much longer for your body to reach the fasted state. So let's say we all went lean today because we're planning on fasting tomorrow. So we all ate really lean, low and low carb today. Our blood sugar is now really stable and really low. So that when we go and we say, all right, we're going to do a fast, we're not going to eat tomorrow, we're already in, at the moment our head hits the pillow, we are already in a fasted state, and all 8 hours, your body is already there. It's really good also to vary your diet and not be in ketosis all the time. Allowing yourself those days, really enjoying the foods is important. Women should not be in ketosis all the time. It keeps us from producing progesterone. So estrogen loves a fasted state, but we don't produce progesterone when we're in a fasted state. For that, we need to bump up the carbs and enjoy life and the glass of wine and allow our body then to make progesterone. And then we're more balanced women with our sex hormones. So I really enjoy talking about this. I will put a bow on my talk and open it up to discussing your thoughts, what you're curious about, and ask me questions.
I'll start. I'm really interested in this 17 hours that puts you in that autophagy process that before. We probably don't want to eat immediately. How much time should we let our body be in that phase to clean itself?
All right, hand me that book right there.
Like I'm getting an hour, maybe?
Do you mean breaking the fast? How long should you wait to break the fast?
Yeah, if my goal is just not to do a long one, but just to try to trigger the autophagy during intermittent fasting, what's the minimum amount of time? Maybe that's my question. What's the minimum amount of time that I can stay in that process and let it be worthwhile to have a reasonable effect?
Okay, so Dr. Mindy says it's between 17 and 72 hours. So yes, people fast for 72 crazy hours. That is a significant fast, but 17 is when it starts. And so anytime after 17 is all golden.
Okay, because I guess my body hasn't gotten it in the past, so any time after 17 is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you make it to 17, autophagy has started. Bravo, right? And then if you can extend it a little bit more than that, it's all good. It's all gravy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Okay, let's go Carolyn and Mary.
Is there a benefit to either fasting in the morning, or is there a benefit to either skipping breakfast or skipping dinner? Is one of those better than the other?
Yes. Okay, so in a perfect world, according to biology, we would not eat when it's dark.
Okay. That makes sense.
In a perfect, okay, so here we are, we're in our primitive world. We are literally making good use of the daylight to finish up the tasks of the day. And darkness is when our circadian rhythms and our biological processes are starting to slow down, mostly. That includes digestion. So if you eat typically after sunset, that is a powerful meal to skip. But if you eat at 4 or 5 and the sun's up and your body has a chance to digest that before it starts to slow down, you're really taking advantage of that last boost before your circadian rhythms slow down. So that's a powerful decision to make. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise, breakfast is easier
Mm-hmm.
for me. If dinner is our highest caloric load and you're skipping that, you might really miss that. You can make other arrangements. You can have a larger dinner, but just earlier.
Got it.
Yeah.
I gotcha. No, that answers my question.
Great. Mary.
I think it's funny that you say that you should ideally biologically only eat when it's not dark. And I'm in Vermont, so it's dark
Then you're
all the
not allowed to
time.
eat ever.
I'm not, yeah, it's just always dark here and
Primitive
cold.
man did not live in Vermont. Yeah, of course
Right.
he did. Right.
What would an ideal fasting schedule look like for a menopausal woman, given that you talked about the impact of it on your sex hormones? I don't want to like wantonly, today I'll do 8, tomorrow I'll do 72, 16, just, and I'm curious to see what would a good fasting schedule look like under different circumstances. And the other question I have is I like to run and I could never run in a fasting state. Like, so I guess how would you work into that schedule your workouts that, yeah.
All right, I'm completely prepared for the menopause question.
Uh-huh.
Without a cycle, or if your cycle is erratic, it is even more important. Fasting can help a menopausal woman regulate her hormones through two ways. Fasting encourages the production of estrogen. Dr. Minnie does not want us to have a steady, like just do 13-11 or 16-8 the entire week. She said varying your fast is actually really powerful, and it mimics what we experienced as primitive people because we did not have a regimented when we ate, when we had it, and then we didn't have it. And so our body actually knows what to do with that. And it's called metabolic switching. And when you do that, you are literally harnessing what our body was meant to do. And because of our modern era of access to food all the time, we don't use it, but it's there. And so if you nurture it, maybe next time we talk about this, I'll talk about insulin resistance. That is something that we don't want. We want to be insulin sensitive, which means that we switch easier. But if we eat processed foods or we eat often, our hormones, cortisol, those things can contribute to insulin resistance, which means we stay in a sugar burning state, and it's really hard for us to get down into ketosis, into that fasted state. So Mary, I wanted to address you running in a fasted state. I would like to challenge you to at least walk in a fasted state or run in a fasted state, because athletes train in a fasted state and it is not dangerous. As long as you know your body, you're hydrated, and you have access to electrolytes. Okay.
That makes sense because it's very funny because in the morning I don't do breakfast. I do the coffee.
Yep.
And then I do the morning, my body purges itself. And then I have an empty stomach when I go on a run. And then I would assume you would break the fast after you're done running. But the trick is that usually at night before the night before a morning run is when you have you carb up. And those are the carbs that get you through the run. So it's just interesting to think about.
Okay, so what you're doing is you are treating your body like a marathon runner when you carb up. So you do run distances, you run distances. However, you may want to think about dialing back the carbs, or then you've been trained to think like a marathon runner because you're going long distances, but it's working against you because your body will find the fuel for exactly what you need. It will find it. And
It's a head thing.
it is. It's how you've been trained as an athlete. Okay. Yep. We do carb loads, but remember, those are marathon runners. athletes who put themselves in extreme
Yeah.
that need that carb load more than,
1 minute.
oh yeah, we have to.
And I'm just for the record, I'm not an athlete. I
Ah,
run bad. I'm not.
but you run far, girl. You run
Mhm.
far. Yeah, you do. I'm proud of that, really, from what you shared. Everyone, this is
Fast like
a
a girl.
very important book to me, Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz. She has another book coming out shortly called Age Like a Girl, where she talks more and more about perimenopause and postmenopause.
Mm.
Okay, and she talks about it here too. But this also is a lot of information for people who are watching their monthly cycle and then tailoring their fast to their monthly cycle. Highly
Okay.
recommend
Okay.
this book for all of us, but Age Like a Girl will go deeper and deeper into nutrition and wellness for people who are postmenopausal or menopausal, etc. Friends, you could have been anywhere on Monday night, but you are here with me. And thank you so much for coming to our Monday Night Live chat. I would love for you to take what you have learned tonight and let it propel you through your week. I would love to see you here again next Monday. Get that fire in your belly for your health and happiness. Remember that you are worth keeping your promises to yourself. And I look forward to you sharing the news about this free membership and getting more butts in seats so that we can share these moments together on Monday nights and move ourselves forward throughout the week. So with that,
Thanks, Dance.
you bet. I'm going to hit the not record anymore button.